So recently, I was asked about a quote by Willis maghee, the former Miami Hurricanes running back who played in the NFL, but injuries got him dropped to later round. But he was quoted saying that the Hurricanes were bigger than NFL teams, including the Miami Dolphins, and said this in the early OOs. And what was my thoughts? He ain't the only one to say that. It's kind of common knowledge. If you were a fan of college football at a particular time, they had a lot of standouts. The you from the 80s, 90s to earlier O's were one of those teams that stockpile talent, as did Alabama later, as did Florida. So, and SC, of course. So those were the teams that had the standouts, what we call a plethora of talent. I've often saw that college felt that way because people were glued more to the games at the time. I think that what had happened is that with pros teams, eventually guys come to the pros. And I think with the NBA, when it became high school to direct, it took a hit with college basketball. Because even though there's still some really good to very good to great college players, we don't look at college basketball the same no more because the exodus from high school directly and guys staying a year or so, you don't get that trajectory. So, college football. The last few years, we've had some interesting dynasties with Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia. We didn't had some real interesting teams. But I don't think we've had what I call this renaissance of these players that are stockpiling on one of these college teams, unlike those hurricane teams back then. So when he says that they were bigger, they had more hype, just like SC had hype with Matt Lionel, Reggie Bush, and Linda White, and Pete Carroll's the coach. So I think that when you stockpile and you look at the totality, there is some truth to that because they were big. Now, if they had the NIL, the guys could have been able to legally cash in. You know, some guys did cash in. Who are we kidding? It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting how that would have played out because they definitely, with the merch and the hype and the hoopla, would have definitely been interesting. But we really don't know. But can he say that they were bigger than that? Yeah, he can. The Dolphins in the early O's weren't really that popping in the streets. The Hurricanes were national champions. And as a matter of fact, Maurice Claret, ironically, in the Orange Bowl, played out his mind, who sadly wanted to go to the NFL and did a lot of things. I don't know if he was NFL ready. Very few of those college football players usually are. But it was definitely sight for sore eyes to see, how it all plays out. And different day, different time, just it hits differently, but when you try to have these conversations about it, but that was a time you could make that case. I think that you could make that case to an extent. I definitely think that they were because it was more intriguing because you had some guys that were like, wow, there were some wild guys. Whereas recently, the quarterbacks have been intriguing, pardon me. I know with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and some of those guys like that, you know. But you know, the problem, I think that college football 20 years ago or so wasn't as pushed down the throat, so prorated. So a lot of these guys now come out, and what you kind of seen, even though Mahomes went up another level, Lamar Jackson went up another level, but by and large, it's just kind of in the zone or in the place of everything. But anyway, it's an interesting question, and I do agree that they were rivaling the NFL pro sports to an extent, but I wouldn't say that now. I wouldn't say that now. I don't think there's a college football team that's out now that I go ooh and ah. As great as Georgia has been the past few years, and Bama and Clemson and all that, I don't see a team that I'd sit there and go, oh, that team because of the hype and the hoopla. Because those SC teams and Miami teams aren't in that mix. And so there's teams that are getting beat and the way the styles are today. But he had a valid point about that time. Yeah, I'd say that particular time because that was one of the greatest college football teams ever assembled. So I'll give him that. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share the video if you like, and hit that membership because when you do the videos you request, I bring them back to you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay true, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.